Memphis track boy, let's go, let's go, let's go.
My Colorado swing, my Colorado swing, my Colorado swing.
Welcome into a new BuffStampede Radio. Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com. Today, joined for a special episode by senior football art director Derek Marckel, who wears a lot of hats for the Buffs creative team. We'll get into all of that as we go through this episode. Derek, I know this is a busy time of year with camp going on right now. How's it going, and how is that camp grind treating you?
It's been fun so far. I mean, it's obviously a lot of work, spending a lot of long hours here. Get to know our staff and players really well this time of year. But it's been pretty smooth. First week of camp, the weather was great too, so we weren't out there burning like we are this week. But it's been good. Teams looked really good. It's been fun getting to see, some new guys step into some bigger roles. Obviously losing, the key guys, Travis Shador, Shiloh, Jimmy, all them last year. Opens up a lot of new opportunities for new, younger guys, transfer guys. So it's cool seeing the new guys kind of come together.
What is typically your favorite and your least favorite part of preseason football camp?
The editing of all of the photos is always a doozy, especially that first couple of practices, first week or so. I'm trying to get as many photos of everybody as possible, just so everybody in the team's got a few things to post and all that. And these first few practices, I take more photos than during a game. So yeah, that's probably my least favorite part is editing all of it. But my favorite part is going out and shooting it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So.
Yeah, I feel that from just a reporter standpoint. It's fun to be able to kind of have that camaraderie that you haven't had in a while. But at the same time, then you get back and it's like the work is just starting. I should have had you on the podcast earlier because you've obviously done great work. But when I saw these written scholarship offers, I reached out to John Snelson. I was like, who did that? That is genius. That is amazing. He quickly got back to me and I reached out to you. You went with a football card theme with the written offers this year. Take us back to the beginning of that process. What inspired that theme for this year's written offers?
Yeah, so whenever it comes to the offer letters, that's like our, the age of printed media for recruiting stuff is kind of seen today. Now it's mostly digital stuff. So this is like our one chance to like really knock it out of the park and do like a really nice professional looking project. And whenever I like consider what I want to do for this project, I consider three different things. It's how do you appeal to a 17-year-old kid? How do you market the program? And how do you market Coach Prime? And I mean, my head immediately went to football cards because we've got all of this NFL experience. Most of our coaches have played in the NFL or coaching the NFL in some capacity. So it's a cool way to package it all together and then make it relate to a 17-year-old kid and show the cards of all the coaches that have done it and say, hey, you can do this too.
Yeah, a lot of times it's, very creative, but it's not with that personal touch. You guys threw in a trading card for those recruits that the written offer was sent out to. What kind of time dedication did it take to be able to pull that off?
Some late hours. I was here till 3:30 in the morning one night, but 1:30 in the morning night before that. Just trying to get everything all done. Our print deadline was a little quicker than it normally is, just because our company Ghost Mail that we use, they print most of the offer letters for every school. So they've got a heavy lift on their end to get everything printed. So we had to get them done a little bit faster to give them time to, manufacture everything. And they did a fantastic job. It looks like cards that you would get from a pack of Tops or whatever. But yeah, it was definitely some long hours there. And when I pitched the idea to the recruiting staff, I was like, this is hard to explain, but I was like, just wait, it's going to be awesome. This is going to be the best one yet. So.
What was the recruiting staff's reaction when they saw the finished product?
Oh, they loved it. It was like a big party in my office when everything got delivered. They're all running in to see it, and it was like Christmas Day.
For the folks out there that don't know what we're talking about, basically beginning August 1st of a player a recruit that's about to be a senior in high school, you can send out a written scholarship offer to. Up until that point, everything is verbal. So this is kind of this And it's not binding, even a written offer is not binding, but it is something that really shows a recruit that they're a top priority when you send that out to them. And then so that's the importance of really going above other people in designing that. I'm curious, with creative folks across the country that are doing written offers, how much do you collaborate, or is that just a very kind of insulary type of process that you have?
I mean, we collaborate with our recruiting staff, obviously, to, identify who are the top targets, because these letters, they don't go to everyone. They're just our top guys, So we kind of collab on the ideation of the project. And like, usually with these things, they're like, hey, Derek, we need something cool. What do you got? And then I pitch them the idea. And then if they don't like it, we move on to something else. But our recruiting staff's been great to work with. So, I mean, they usually trust me and my ideas for this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we collab as a creative team because, we've got 4 full-time guys, me, John Snelson, Zion Atwater, and Daniel Rodriguez, then an army of interns. So with these things, I mean, they're always design heavy, more so than video. So it puts a heavier lift on my plate than the rest of the squad. But yeah, we do collab a lot on these things. And like, for the photo shoots, that we use all these photos to make the graphics and the trading cards and all of that. All that stuff is done months before all of this. So it's kind of a long thing, like from the photo shoot process to the finish line, which is signing day.
Is your business growing but not quite ready for a full-time CFO? Macaulay Capital offers fractional CFO services for companies doing more than $3 million in annual revenue. You get expert financial leadership without the full cost. Learn more about how you can improve your business's profitability and cash management at MacaulayCapital.com. If you know Boulder, you know the Hungry Toad. We've been serving this town since 1991, long before the lines on Pearl Street. Just north of campus, we're your local British pub with proper fish and chips, quality burgers, a scratch kitchen, real English cask ale, and no tourist fluff. We support CU football, women's soccer, and the loyal fans who keep it local. The Hungry Toad, Boulder born, Buffs proud. Preston Ashley, one of Colorado's blue chip verbal commits in the 2026 class, took a video on social media, posted it with the written offer. That kind of went viral. What's it been like for you after all that hard work? You mentioned the very late nights that you spent working to kind of see that reaction on social media.
Yeah, it's rewarding. I mean, it's stuff that I was doing for fun as a kid. Like, I was just back home in Michigan a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking through a bunch of old stuff, and I found like little trading cards that I made when I was like 10 years old. So it's cool to like actually have an opportunity to make these things now, and then see it get picked up by like SportsCenter and ESPN and all this. And whenever that happens, I have a huge outpouring of support from like friends and family and fans that reach out and say how much they love all of my work and all of that. And it's kind of surreal to see like the reach that this thing has. SportsCenter posted, they've got 30-40 million followers, and it's nuts.
That's awesome. Are there any NCAA rules that you got to kind of follow, like things like they say you cannot do this with a written offer?
I see some schools that bend the rules a little more than I know is legal. But for us, we just have to keep everything printed under or 8.5 by 11 or smaller. So obviously the trading cards and everything that falls into that legal zone. But I see some schools doing some things where I'm like, I don't know if that's compliant, but the offer letters, it's always like the big one where people get really creative. So I think they have a little bit of agency there.
I mentioned at the top of the podcast that you wear a lot of different hats. Mm-hmm. Graphic design, photography. You mentioned the interns. I'm sure that's a lot of managing them. What does an average day look like for you at CU?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the season. Like if it's, during the season, spring ball, fall camp, whatever. But during the season, the beginning of the week is very graphic heavy. We've got our, game day posters, game day graphics, game week, where to watch, on the road, like all of that stuff. And then as it gets later in the week, that it turns into more photography based stuff, getting all the travel content, game day, editing all of the photos is always like a full day on Sunday. So each day of the week is a little bit different. And then, on the recruiting side, that stuff is pretty on the fly because we have our weekly good luck graphics and that kind of stuff. But then say you have a kid that goes off for 6 touchdowns, Corey will be like, hey, we need a graphic for this. So there's no 2 days that are ever the same. it's a lot, but
You mentioned that you went to high school in Michigan. You were team captain in football.
I was,
and also played baseball. I got to know, what position did you play? What type of football player was Derek?
Yeah. So believe it or not, I was an offensive and defensive lineman, played guard and defensive end, and I was smaller than I am now. But my high school, we had 22 kids on the team, and I was the only kid that played varsity as a sophomore on our squad. But yeah, I mean, you could get away with being a 5'10", 175-pound offensive and defensive lineman when it's small ball like that. But I was scrappy. I led the team in personal fouls my senior year because I'd go out and defend my other guys. But
that's awesome.
Yeah,
obviously not on the line, but could you give this team one rep at some position?
I would like to. I'd line up at edge rusher and see if I don't know if I'd line up against Seton, but maybe some of the other guys I'd line up against and give it a
go. When did you know that you wanted a career in graphic design?
When I was pretty young. I was like in middle school, and I was always drawing pictures of, my favorite football players. So if we'd go to all the Toledo Rockets games when I was a kid, and I would draw pictures of them and wait outside the locker room and give them the drawings, and they'd give me like gloves and autographs and all that stuff. And my brother is a graphic designer too. He works for Westcott Photography Lighting. And when I was probably like 13-ish, he was like, hey, you can make a career out of this. Like, you can start transferring over to the digital world. So I started playing around in Photoshop and Illustrator when I was, a teenager. And then it just kind of fell into place. Got my first internship when I was in college at University of Toledo. And then, that was right as the social media thing was getting huge with college sports, and everything just kind of fell into place. The timing was perfect too, just based on the growth of how the creative is exploded in college football in the last 10 years.
The Buffs played Toledo in the Dan Hawkins era. Was that during your time as a student there?
Yes, but that game was on a Friday, and I had a football game that night. I was so bummed I couldn't go to that. And Toledo won.
That was a rough night for the Colorado Buffaloes. That's for sure. I'm sure I got people yelling at in their cars right now that I should have brought that up. But you joined CU's team in 2019. Spent some time after that at Michigan State and then USC. What drew you back to Boulder?
I didn't want to leave in the first place. It was I love it here. I mean, it's a great place to live, great place to work, great staff, great players, the best view in the country. The career opportunity for me to go to Michigan State was too good to pass up. I went from being graphic designer here to being creative director there. I got to run the department and, get a lot more experience under my belt. And there's always a lot of uncertainty with the coaching change. So yeah, it was a tough decision for me to leave and didn't want to, but knew it was probably the best career move for me. But all along, I knew I wanted to move back at some point in my life. So I just cut my connections here, stayed close with with Brent and the rest of the athletics crew. And then when the position came open again, they reached out and I was like, yep, I'm down. So yeah.
Well, we were excited when you came back to town because
I was too.
Yeah. Well, what are some of your favorite just memories, moments from your time covering the Buffs?
Last year, just the whole thing. I mean, since Coach Prime's been here, the whole thing's felt like a whirlwind. It's been amazing. But the Heisman Trophy campaign last year, just seeing that from like the start of it, where we started having meetings because that was an all hands on deck thing. We were meeting with Buff Sports Properties to get some help from our sponsors to pay for billboards and things like that. And then communications and marketing. It was all, everybody's involved. And just seeing, the billboards in Times Square and then the Heisman packets that we mailed out that were on ESPN, and then getting to go to New York with Travis and just being there that whole time with him. And that was, sun up to sundown, we're with Travis going to all of his events and stuff. And he's been, my favorite athlete I've ever worked with. So yeah, that one's going to be hard to top. It's still surreal that we experience all that.
It almost doesn't feel like you said. It doesn't feel like it actually happened. It's like,
Right.
yeah, we have this memory, but we really in Times Square, and you had a graphic in Times Square that is incredible.
Yeah. Like I've done a lot of things in my career, and it never gets old, but like, you're kind of repeating the same projects year after year, doing the same offer letters and signing day content. But like going to Times Square and seeing a billboard that I made, that one is like, damn, this is this is real.
That's awesome. Well, I've got more questions for you, so I got to bring you back on the podcast at some point. But
Yeah, absolutely.
like we said earlier at the top, this is a busy time of year, so I had to get you on to talk about these written offers because they're phenomenal. But it is the camp grind, and I enjoy your work. Thanks again for taking the time out to join us on the podcast.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and thanks everybody out there for tuning in.